Hey, good afternoon, everyone. I am sitting out on my deck at my house, and it's the first part of June, obviously. We are full swing into summer here at the O'Neill household and at Watershed. And as such, I know summer tends to get started and be over before you know it. And so I wanted to take just a moment. I know I've been sending out about every 4 to 5 weeks kind of a block email type instructional sort of inspirational type thing for you guys. So I hope you've had a chance to engage some of that. I've learned so much from so many of you who do community and do spiritual formation with your kind of tribe of people, your smaller group, in such a real profound way. And so part of what I've been trying to do is allow some of the things that I've learned to begin to leak into our larger block community of leaders to begin with. And so as those come about in the months ahead, I hope you have a chance to engage those. I'm probably going to take a break from that in July and August, and we'll re-engage that in September. But I wanted to just take a few moments and speak with you today because of some things that are going to be taking place later on in the calendar year, specifically in August and September. One of the things that we've learned over the past couple of years is there's been a huge number of people that have connected to smaller community through Preface. To date, we're averaging 7 to 8 Preface environments a year. It's sort of this intro block experience for people. In fact, some of you as leaders have actually gone through Preface with me over this past year just because you wanted to experience what that initial environment feels like and looks like. I wanted to let you know that that is an option for any block leader. If you're interested in kind of doing a refresher course on what it means to lead a dialogue-driven, facilitated type discussion, I know for many of you, you can do that in your sleep, but so much has happened over the past 5 to 6 years in terms of how we even process community and theology and what it means to actually facilitate dialogue. It ends up being a really fulfilling experience over the course of about 6 weeks. Right now, David and Kate Motts, who are both block leaders or have led blocks in the past, are going through it, and we're just having a rocking good time doing that. So I want to let you know that that's something I would really welcome. I think there's all kinds of real-time learning that takes place during those environments, and it actually would be a really, I think, advantageous experience for you as a block leader if you ever decided that you wanted to do that. I can't have you all do it at one time, but in small doses, that would be really. I would encourage you to do that. Also, here's the thing: this August, we want to try to make a push for people to really connect to blocks. So right now, we're probably at 65 to 75% in terms of the numerical value of people in smaller community here throughout the course of a year, which is a really healthy number, but we feel like we can do better. It is always healthy. It's a healthier expression of community the more people you have connected in smaller pockets of folks in blocks or whatnot. It's also healthier for a person spiritually for them to have a group of people. And so we just think that we can do better. I feel like that there is space still available in so many of our blocks, whether that's a relationality block, a QC brotherhood block, Her Grow, one blocks. We actually have a need for more one blocks to be launched. So all that being said, in August, I would love for us late in August and midway through September for us to begin to sort of open up our block community and really encourage people who are currently not connected to begin to connect in some of our blocks. And so here's what that means. That means I need you as a block leader to be thinking August, September, this is the part of our block calendar where we're really going to begin to open ourselves up for new folks. Right now, you're probably having more of a sort of a downtime in July and August. At least some of you I know do that, and that's fine. In fact, I think it's healthy for you to sort of let the wind out of the sails a little bit. But in August and September, it would be really helpful, I think, if you could somehow time your next thing to start to take place mid to late September. So if you're going to start some sort of video series that you're going to watch, or you've got some sort of book that you're going to begin to take part in, in terms of content discussion, then if you could time that to really start to take place like the third week of September, that gives us some time to begin to get people into some of these smaller communities. And so the goal would be that we move the needle, so to speak, for the number of people. Right now, let's say there's 100 people that are not connected. If we could just get 30 or 40 of those into smaller communities, that would be really powerful. But that's going to take a concerted effort from our block leaders on a couple of fronts. It's going to take you communicating to your block, listen, August, September, we want to open ourselves up. I know we've got this great thing going with the 7 or 8 of us, but what if we just took on 2 or 3 more? Is there a way for us to do that? And can we begin to give away, in some regards, the thing that we've been given in all of this? It's sort of a gift. Community is a gift. I know we work hard to organize it, but the chemistry and the traction that we begin to experience with one another, that's really a gift. And being able to offer that to someone who maybe has never experienced that could really be a powerful moment, both for your block, because it will stretch you guys. You're going to have to learn how to include people in conversations that maybe have been going on for a while, and at the same time allow yourself to be impacted by that person in the way they view life or God or whatever. So there's a bit of risk involved, but I think it's a cavalier notion that we need to embrace. And I know some of you are jam-packed. You're like 15, 16 people. For you, that may not be an option, but I think for the majority of our blocks, there's white space that if we'll allow ourselves to see it, it could benefit others. I think there's also a huge need for you to respond in a very proficient fashion to our request for updated information. So sometime mid-July, all the way into August, probably first part of July, Jen Winland, my administrative assistant, is going to reach out to every single block leader, and she's going to request really important pieces of information. How many people are a part of your block? Who is in your block these days? Like, what's your roster? How many people you think you can take on? And I want you to think in terms of stretching yourself a little bit. How many people can you take on? What night do you meet? What's the time? When is your sort of restart date? Like, when are you going to begin something new? And I know that's a little bit ambiguous for some of you, but just do the best you can in that. And if you need some direction, then feel free to reach out to her, and she'll be able to kind of coach you on some of those things. But if you can respond as quickly as possible, I know you have busy summers and busy lives, but to the degree that we can have accurate information going in to the first part of August, the first week or two of August, that's going to be the degree that we're going to be able to engage people and grease the wheels for them to connect in community. Meanwhile, Preface is still going to be going on. People from Preface are still going to need to be connected, or are going to need to connect to smaller communities. There's all of this stuff happening at the same time, and it's a bit of a large project at a time of the year when there seems to be a lull for most people. But we just have to do it if we want our community to really experience relationship and the transformational dynamics of relationships with other people. And I surmise we'll do this a couple times a year. We'll do this as we move into the fall, and then we'll do it again late December as we move into January and February. Those seem to be the 2 best times to help people connect. The rest of the time of the year, it's more of this natural process of going online and connecting through our phone app and connecting through our website and whatnot. We're still trying to work towards even better solutions from a technology standpoint for helping people in an automated fashion do this. But it's just been really difficult. No church seems to be able to tell us the very best system. I don't know that it's been developed yet, but we're still working along in that regards. And a couple of more sort of house cleaning items. We're in the process of sort of editing and getting ready to re-release our resource list for the fall. There's some really good books that are trending for people from people like Rachel Held Evans, a guy named David Benner. There's some more authors out there, Peter Enns, a few other folks that we feel like are really speaking into the contemplative side of who we are. Barbara Brown Taylor seems to really be trending in some of our blocks, and just some really quality stuff. All that to say, I know that one of the questions I get asked is, how do I choose a book? What sort of content is available out there? And this too, we've actually got a few blocks that are starting to process our Sunday morning talks to the extent that Scott and I are emailing our script or emailing our notes on Friday to Saturday before we talk, that Friday or Saturday before, so that the block leaders can begin to formulate some sort of dialogue around Sunday mornings. And that seems to be working pretty well for folks. So that's an option that you might want to try for a season or indefinitely. And it sort of removes any sort of questioning about, okay, what kind of resources do I need? But I wanted to make you aware of this for a couple of reasons. There's a wide swath of resources available on this resource list. There's probably, 65 or 70 different books or blogs or what the case might be. And I really need you to function within those boundaries. I feel like that the diversity of those pieces is pretty healthy at this point. And it's not that I'm trying to control what people are putting out there for folks, but I'm trying to control what people put out there. From the perspective of, we feel like this is a really healthy list. It's not something that I've just come up with. It's something that our staff has read. It's something that's been validated by block leaders throughout the past 10 years. And so within those boundaries, I really need you to function. Now, can you go out of bounds and introduce something different? Well, I think that I'm open to that discussion, but I really need you to engage me in that. I really need you, for the sake of consistency and clarity, and for the sake of just me shepherding our block leaders and our block community, and being a good steward of the people that we bring on board here at Watershed that have access to our community. I really need to be a part of that. It's not that I'm trying to control you, but I want to make sure that we're on the same page. I just feel like that's healthy. We feel like that's healthy. When I joke about being controlling of this, it's more of a, hey, I just want to make sure that we're healthy. That's sort of what I've been charged with the task to do, and I take that very seriously. So if you can just honor the process that we've put into place, I think everybody wins in the long run. If you have any questions, certainly email me. But if you're thinking through what I'm going to do in the fall right now, then you're a little bit ahead of the game. But sometime before the middle of July, you kind of need to come to a conclusion. This is what we're doing. I'd like you to be ahead of the curve this summer, instead of, I'm 2 weeks out. What are we going to talk about? Like, go ahead and start thinking about that process. I would be careful about how you ask for feedback from your blocks. You might want to ask, is there something out there that you're interested in? But when it's all said and done, it's kind of between you as co-leaders, or you as a block leader, to look at our resource list and go, I think this is probably the best choice. Left up for a vote, you end up really pleasing no one, or not. You can't please everybody through that process, and there's often a bit of there's a lack of clarity that goes along with that. You've been entrusted to lead, so it's okay if you make that decision. If you look at the landscape, if you look at our resource list and go, you know what, this is the best call, and I'm going to make a leadership call on that. You're charged to do that. You're entrusted with that sort of authority, and if you need help, then feel free to reach out to me, or maybe a fellow block leader, someone that that's been doing it. But there's no shortage of ways that you can get some coaching in that. And then finally and lastly, I'm really excited. We're in the process of reformatting our block leaders training, so that not only can we begin to introduce more new block leaders into our system, but then also trying to figure out how to to add supplemental training to some of our block leaders. That's sort of been a bit of an eyesore for me over the past couple of years, trying to figure out how to resource you guys in a more effective fashion. So there's just, I know it's a lot of stuff on a Friday afternoon when I'm recording this, but I wanted to at least capture some of the things that we feel like are really important moving into the summer. And we don't have the opportunity to get together as a large group of block leaders just because of time and space constraints. I'm really excited about the new space that's being gutted as I'm actually recording this. They're actually ripping out things, over there today in Plaza Midwood. But I'm really optimistic that as the fall comes around and as 2016 comes around, there's going to be opportunities for us to all come together and really kind of process and verbalize some things that are going on and learn from each other. I'd love for block leaders to have more of a learning community aspect where you guys sit across the table from each other and you say what's working, what's not, what are some things that we can dream towards as a community of leaders in this. Whew. So that's 16 minutes of stuff. Thank you for taking the time to just engage this video. You continue to be such a powerful force in the way that people are experiencing transformation. Not this Sunday, but a week from this Sunday, there's some more baptisms that are going to be taking place. This has been one of the most powerful years, I think, for us as a community. And again, so much of what's happened has happened within the context of our block communities. And so you guys, the work that you're doing, the sacrifice, the way that you're pushing yourself to learn how to do this in more effective fashion, it really does matter. It really does. And so thank you for that. I really appreciate leading alongside of you, leading blocks alongside of you. And may this summer be a time of recharging for you as you spend time with your family. But let's focus our time and energy at being a little more proactive going into the fall and being prepared for what I hope is a bit of a storm surge of people to really connect here at Watershed. Thanks, and have a great, wonderful weekend.